Anger is uncomfortable, bitter, and hard to swallow. It pulsates through our veins, leaving us vulnerable and raw. Yet within the spectrum of anger lies something special. Rage. Feminine rage. Something that transcends gender and embraces the physiological, ancestral, and naked response to a world gone wrong. Hello my peoples, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. In this video, I'm just gonna jump straight back into it. We don't have time for pleasantries. We're busy today, we're discussing, we have an agenda. If you've been on the internet, as usual, this is my channel, I'm going to be discussing internet related things because that's kind of what I do. You've probably come across this whole trend of feminine rage.
Don't you swear at me, you little... Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
And this would include videos of Florence Pugh acting her butt off. Have to keep the cursey words to a minimum because I don't want to get on Miss Susan's bad side. I've been away for a while. Don't want to give her a reason to me. Or videos of Mia Goth in my favorite movie, Pearl, screaming, "I'm a star." It particularly caught my interest because rage is something that I have a very complicated relationship with. I think I've felt rage and I've felt anger a lot of times in my life. However, I've never been able to properly, or what I would think is properly, express it. Never been able to let that rage out or let it go, and seeing such visceral depictions of rage within a feminine context, so gut-wrenching, made me feel some kind of catharsis and relief, honestly. It is so out of the norm of the rage I've grown to expect within the feminine context. Whenever we think about femmes being angry, we think about her being quiet and docile and looking down or holding a wine glass and holding it tightly and clutching it, but not ever letting anybody know how truly she's fuming inside. Or the other one where we have her cry. She's sad, she's alone, she's weeping, or she has a single tear streaming down her face, Lana Del Rey style, looking gorgeous, mascara unsmudged, beautiful, a picture, honestly, a painting of sadness. But she's angry, but she's too feminine and soft to feel angry. And I think I internalized that specific docile nature when it comes to anger and rage, because femmes really aren't allowed to express, or it's not typically expected for us to express anger and rage in a visceral way, in the way that we do see in these movies. It's very out of the norm, it's uncharacteristic, it's unhinged, it's scary even to see a woman go so far away from her nature. However, in this video, we're going to explore why that might be and where this new craze might take us. Stay tuned. Also, look, I'm gonna try and use this as a microphone. I forgot, it's my makeup brush, it's cute, it's whatever, but like, I just want to hold something. It's come to my attention that I wave my hands way too much when I talk, evidently. And it's a niblet to edit, so yeah, we're gonna use this, at least try. Roll the next clip. Now that I've explained my context with feminine rage, or how I see it, let's get into the research that I so diligently did, because you know me, I'm a scholar, I'm an academic, I love to read, I'm learned and stuff. In psychology, anger is often seen as a secondary emotion, and these are emotions that are accompanied with other emotions or could even mask other emotions. So for example, you could feel sad, but because you're sad, you're angry. Or you could feel scared, but because you're scared, it turns into anger. Or you could feel shame or jealousy, and because of that it is masked by anger. However, thinking about anger, even though it can be a secondary emotion at times, thinking about it solely as a secondary emotion, I feel, reduces the weight and the gravity of the emotion. Sometimes anger in itself is enough. Sometimes anger in itself is just the emotion that needs to be felt at that particular time, and there doesn't need to be an underlying cause. There doesn't need to be an underlying reason for the anger or an underlying deeper meaning for the anger. Though I think anger obviously can most definitely mask other emotions such as sadness or jealousy or shame, anger in itself, I feel, is a powerful emotion and tool that shouldn't be so quickly dismissed or disregarded, so quickly purged. Femmes' expressions of anger is often dismissed or turned into something else. She's angry because of this, or she's angry because of that. And within trying to find the reason or the underlying issue behind the anger is dismissed and cast aside. But in that, the primal nature of anger is starved. Anger needs to be felt, it needs to be heard, it needs to be screamed, it needs to be let out, sometimes physically even. And with trying to put solutions towards anger, I think a solution towards anger is rarely the correct remedy. You can give a solution to somebody who's angry. However, yes, it is functional, but does it feel better? Is it cathartic? Does it help the person learn how to later be comfortable in that anger? I don't think so. I think in the quick solutions that come when one is angry, we later hurt our skill in being able to sit and be comfortable in the uncomfortable nature of anger. The often dismissal of anger, I think, is something very universal in the experience of feminine rage, because feminine rage is not only individual but communal. Communal. I can't say that fucking word. My tongue has refused to clock in for her shift today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe she'll join us later as we keep going. I think feminine rage comes from the suppression, the pain, the disregard that often comes with the femme experience. Feminine rage is something that's felt within all femme-presenting people. The kind of rage that comes from generations upon generations of suppression. Suppression that almost becomes poison to the people who hold it. The kind of suppression that goes so deep that the person doesn't know what to do with said rage. The kind of rage that poisons itself so much that it turns to hate. Hate that one person can only get rid of by healing. And to the person who's been taught to suppress said rage all their life, how would that even begin? I found it! I found it. Wow, I didn't think I would. Okay. Yes, let's get into it. We're back on air. Ladies and gentlemen, her society has a very interesting relationship with anger, and like many things in our patriarchal society, anger is something that in male presenting people is honestly seen as a badge of honor. It's seen as a good thing. It's seen as a show of strength, of valor, of ability in one. It's shown as somebody being powerful, being decisive, being able to take control of situations, whilst in femmes, anger is seen as going against feminine nature, let's say. It's seen as hysterical, it's seen as unnatural, it's seen as difficult. And I think we all know in the patriarchy, there's nothing more terrifying than a difficult woman. But these double standards isn't something that's new. It's something we've all seen in politics. We see how male politicians are treated compared to female politicians, especially when they talk with quote-unquote passion, let's say. When a man gets angry, he's seen as being very passionate about his cause and just caring so much. But when women get angry, they're seen as irrational, emotional. This double standard affects everything from how we ourselves perceive anger and rage in the individual and how we as a society perceive anger and rage in individuals. However, I think we might be seeing a shift in this because based off the TikTok trends that I have been seeing, these female rage compilations seem to be getting really famous and a lot of attention, and maybe this is from the femcells, maybe this is from the girlies in general. I almost knocked over my lamp. Is it femcell retribution? I don't know. Listen, I won't talk about the femcells, I won't talk about the incels. The cell life is just, I'm not touching that with a 5-foot pole. I'm leaving it alone. I withdraw all my statements about it. However, I think what I found, or what I'm interestingly beginning to see, is anger is fine as long as it's attractive. Like most things, and this could be probably an intersection between pretty privilege as well, or even just white privilege. Because in most of these compilations, we often see it as conventionally attractive Caucasian women expressing their rage, being loud and being physically imposing, whether it's inflicting acts of violence onto others or going against the status quo in some way, shape, or form. These expressions of raw emotion are only okay if they can be consumed. If there's a way to be able to fetishize this pain, let's say. Attractive anger being one of the realms, anger seems to be okay within its expression. And these are strictly within depictions of media, so I'm talking movies, series, basically what I've seen in horror movies. I'm a horror movie babe, you know this. If you've watched my Slits and Slashers video, I love slashers, so obviously a lot of this comes and is intertwined with said subject matter. However, in a lot of this media as well, anger seems to be okay if there's a justifiable underlying cause, if it's as a means of revenge, if this rage serves the female character in her quest for revenge, whether it's the popular rape revenge stories or just revenge in that the female character has been done dirty severely, whether it's by the system or by a specific other, probably male character. The anger is okay, which is interesting. Again, most of the characters we see allowed to express this type of rage, I speak in the context of rage against systems, happen to be white women who, I'm not saying don't have systems that are oppressing them. I'm just saying it's interesting that those happen to be what catches people's attention, let's say. But I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. So let's make the segue where we talk about race and feminine rage. Ooh. I might speak about the angry black woman. Oh dear, here we go. As a black woman, I do think I have a different insight onto this trend, especially when we look at the intersectionalities of who exactly gets to express feminine rage. We don't tend to see very many people who look like me. And if we do, and like the clips that I have seen get popular, it's like that one Taraji P. Henson clip from the movie where they were scientists from NASA and she was angry about them refusing to, like, basically the racism, which is interesting that the one clip I've been able to see about black women being angry is about racism. I'm not gonna think too much about it, I'm not just gonna keep going. That just hit me right now. I don't know why that was it. Anyway, the stereotype of the angry black woman is something that is definitely not new and honestly probably contributes to a lot of black women's relationship with anger. in that when Black women are angry in stereotypical ways, when we get loud, maybe violent with objects, like throwing things around or maybe getting into somebody's face, even though you're not gonna swing on anything on somebody or anything like that. I think by the nature in that we are already seen as imposing and threatening. The idea of the angry Black woman is threatening and scary to a lot of people, even if they may just be doing the same acts as their white counterparts. And this isn't only just for Black women, this happens for all people of color, but I'm speaking specifically within the Black context because surprise, surprise, it's the context, I know. I think all women of color are probably affected by a stereotype like this in some way, shape, or form, in that they aren't allowed to express said anger in different ways, aren't allowed or expected to express anger and rage in these ways that we may have been seen depicted. Within the context of racism, in my research, I ended up reading, what was her name? God, names will kill me. Audre Lorde's essay, The Uses of Anger, Women Responding to Racism. And this one was such a moving read. Oh my God. Like, I sometimes honestly genuinely forget the power of words because I stick on TikTok for so long it rots my brain. So I forget like how much written word can actually move you until like I actually have to read and I'm like, wow. She talks about how her response to racism will be anger. And women responding to racism means women responding to anger. Anger of exclusion, of unquestioned privilege, of racial distortions, of silence, ill use, stereotyping, defensiveness, misnaming, betrayal, and co-option. Something very tied into feminine rage, even though it's specifically talking about racism. The same mechanics of oppression are used in causing the same feelings of injustice that do bubble up, I feel, when it comes to feminine rage, even though this is within the context of people of color. My sisters of color who, like me, tremble their rage under harness, or who sometimes question the expression of our rage as useless and disruptive, the most popular accusations. I want to speak about anger, my anger, and what I learned from the travels through its dominions. When she does say my travels through its dominions, I think it's a very validating statement in that anger is something that must be felt, that must be traveled through, that must be endured in its entirety. You have to go to hell and back with your rage and possibly come out of it making a friend or making peace with it. I don't think there can be quick solutions to rage, especially rage so deep-seated. It's taken me a very long time to figure that out. And honestly, I'm still learning this, especially when it comes to some things, because I'm not an expert yet. I'm still one of those, I don't get angry, I get sad girlies. But like, babe, you're screaming into pillows. I don't know if that's sad. But okay, go off, I guess. This essay goes on to explain how anger is a tool and can be very much used as a tool that we can use for change. And honestly, the biggest weapon we have against change, because listen, the suffragettes didn't get the right to vote by sitting around and letting a single tear stream down their face in a dramatic way. They were out there getting things done. Okay, this is not to say that the use of anger always has to be violent. No. What I am saying is the use of anger can be a vehicle for change. It can motivate you to go out and to march, to protest, to write an opinion piece, to share your opinions with other people and have it be heard. To refuse to be silenced. I think anger is a very powerful tool and powerful motivator in such things. And in a culture where we're taught from the earliest of ages to associate anger with shame and anger with feelings of wrongness, I think taking back rage in this particular kind of way has to be the most powerful thing femmes can do with it. The angry woman, she's messy. She makes people feel uneasy. Unlike her sad counterpart, she doesn't suffer elegantly, but she's loud in her suffering. She's threatening. She threatens the status quo. She's difficult, she's scary because she threatens the status quo. However, I don't think that she is something that women should shy from. I don't think women should be afraid of being difficult or threatening the status quo. And this is not me inciting any violence. I'm not saying we go and be violent and cause havoc and like slash his tires. I'm not saying that because I didn't say that. However, I just feel like you should be heard very loud and clear. Don't let your anger be silenced. If you're mad, be mad, sis. And stay mad. Let them stay mad at how mad you are. I don't think anger is like a bad thing. It's just an emotion. I'm fucking exhausted. I'm fucking exhausted, man. Like, I don't know if it's because I've been talking for an hour plus, or it's because I'm in a corset, or both. Maybe my brain is just tired. However, I think we've reached the end of the video. This is how I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna do one thing, it's gonna be falling into the frame, but my titties don't pop out because this is a family-friendly channel. Thank you. If you want to see that, you have to subscribe to the... Nothing, I don't have anything that you can subscribe to. Jesus. This is... Wouldn't be any money video without some chaos and broken glass, am I right? Jesus. Okay, it's fine. Just listen, I'm trying my best.